Hello and welcome to Animal Watch, and today we're going to teach you how to save your dog's life. Come on, Patch, I got ya!
I'll teach you dog CPR so you can bring your best friend back from the dead. How to remove a blockage from his throat, whether it's a large toy or just a small obstruction. I'll show you how to save your dog from drowning. And we will tell you the world's most toxic foods and which ones will definitely kill your dog.
Stay tuned, as this could save your dog's life one day.
We often see videos on the internet that can really shake us to the core. Whether it's dogs falling into swimming pools, to a dog almost choking to death. And then you have toxic foods. But which ones really are toxic and which ones aren't as bad as people make out? So what if I told you that you could be taught how to save your dog's life? Just in case you ever find yourself in that position, God forbid. So today I'm in beautiful rural Kent at a stunning historic pub, the Three Chimneys near Bidderdon, visiting a special animal first aid expert who is going to teach me some valuable skills that might just help one of my pets at some point in the future.
So I'm here today with Aubrey Euler of Bluebell Pet Care, and she has a wealth of knowledge for us today. So Aubrey, why are you the right person to teach us all this stuff to help us save our animals?
So I have a qualification obviously in pet first aid instructing. I was also a lecturer in animal management and agriculture. So I've got a wealth of information for all different species of animals. And I just really wanted to get back into teaching it because I had an incident myself with my own dog choking on Christmas Day. So I wanted to let pet owners know how to help save their pets' lives. So the first thing we're going to do, we come across our unconscious dog. We need to shout for help. Go on, shout out for help.
My dog has collapsed.
And we get a lot of people asking why this is. Bystanders, anyone coming by, you can show them how to do this very quickly, or someone to call to help you drive to the vet while you continue CPR. So after we do that, we're going to give him a bit of a shake and shout. So why don't you shake Casper for me a bit? Grab him by those shoulders, give him a shake, you know.
Casper, wake up.
That's it. So we're looking for any signs of life, any movement, or his eyes going to open up. We don't want to be doing CPR on a dog that actually may have just fainted or has just had a bit of a different episode. So right after that, we're going to check for breathing. So there's a few different ways we can do this. So we can put our hand on the chest. We can have our hand out as well, looking and seeing visual, and as well holding a mobile phone in front, because your mobile phone fogs up with condensation. So that's a good way of not getting your hands around and getting bed. After we have checked, we can't see any breathing. We need to check for an obstruction. So they may have choked on something. We can't do compressions or rescue breaths if they have something caught in their throat. So we're going to gently pull their tongue out, and we're going to have a look. If there's an obstruction that we can get out, we're going to get that out. If there's no obstruction, we are absolutely clear to start with our compressions. The positioning of that is going to be where the point of elbow meets the chest. So you want the widest part of that chest there. So where that dog's elbow comes up and into that chest.
All right.
So just right here on Casper, we're going to place our hand over, interlocked, and we're going to bend at the waist. So elbows locked and wrists are locked so that we're not none of this. So we go pump, 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 and we're going to do that at a pace of 100 to 120 beats per minute. So a lot of people like staying alive. They like baby shark. We're going to do 30 compressions, and then we are going to do 2 breaths into the nose. So how we're going to do those breaths, we're going to pull out that tongue again to clear the airway. We're going to put it to the side, and we're going to seal his mouth shut. And we're actually going to breathe into the nose, not into the mouth. So we're going to look down the chest and make sure the chest just enough rises and falls, because we don't want to put that breath in until that chest falls again. So 1 breath looking down, we're going to release and let that chest drop, and then breath 2. Once that drops, we're going to go straight back into those 30 compressions, and we're going to repeat this for a 2-minute cycle. Then we can check and see, do we have any signs of life? We might check for a pulse. You only want to limit that to 10 seconds or less of checking. If nothing, you go straight back into a 2-minute cycle. And that's where having someone to help you is really important, because after 2 minutes, you're going to get really tired.
Do you generally say to people, just keep going? If you
Yes.
could get them to the vet, do it in the car on the way to the vet?
Absolutely. When you decide to stop, it is a very personal question. Personally, for me, it would be until I'm exhausted and I can no longer go on. Anything past 10 minutes, really the survival rate isn't that great.
Wow.
You also need to think about as well for the welfare of your animal. If this animal already has some serious health implications and they're super elderly, CPR is really, really intense.
You can break ribs, can't you?
That's right, yeah. Our aim isn't to break ribs, but you could, and you've got to think about, is it something we even want to perform in the first place? So very good question.
All right, can I have a quick go then?
Absolutely,
right, okay, let me have a
yes.
go. I've shaken the dog to check to see if he's responsive, and he's not. And we check for breathing, and he's not breathing. And I pull the tongue out, don't I? As well?
Yeah, and your obstruction's out, and you are ready to go now.
Okay, so elbow
Yeah,
onto his chest here,
perfect.
and I'm going to put one hand down there, and the other one is locking on
Beautiful,
that.
yeah.
And then I'm just going to go baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark, do do
Yeah.
do do, baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark. Whoa, it is actually exhausting. And is this dummy sort of representative of a real dog?
Yeah, I mean, each breed, each size is going to be a little bit different. There are different hand placements for different breeds, but for this purpose, this would be your typical, your labs, your spaniels, most breeds you see.
Hooray, he's breathing.
Woo!
Woo, we saved him. We saved our dog. So there's lots of things that can become lodged in your dog's throat, and two of the most common things that my vet has told me causes the most deaths a year are tennis balls, which a lot of people use as toys for their dogs. And as you can see, this falls apart very, very easily. Now, my experience with a tennis ball was an awful one. So I had an Alaskan Malamute, and one day I woke up and there was sick everywhere. And I took him to the vet, and she said a tennis ball had split in half, gone down his intestine, and she said it had lodged here, causing all the fluid to build up behind the tennis ball. So he's projectile vomiting, and she said that causes multiple organ failure, and then the dog will literally die. So she had to cut him open and get the tennis ball out. I didn't realise how bad this was, because obviously with dogs you think that's not going to go down their throat because that's actually pretty big. But what she was saying is when they split, and dogs are very good, aren't they, at breaking toys.
Oh yeah.
My vet said that #1 killer of dogs when he has to clear obstructions out of their intestines are socks. He calls it the silent killer because when they swallow them, so it goes down into their gut, and he said that food and liquid still sort of goes into the sock whilst it's lodged in there, and it gradually fills up and fills up. And then he says this starts to fill and bulge, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And he says one day, multiple organ failure,
Yeah.
dead. So pick your socks up and don't use tennis balls. No, no.
It needs to be noted that all small items of underwear are also a threat to a pet, not just socks, but underpants and stockings also. So make sure to clear up after yourself when you get dressed, and limit the access your pets have to your dirty laundry pile. And no, it's not funny when a dog carries your socks around or chews them, as this is a fast way to losing your pet.
What would be the first thing that you would notice if your dog was choking? What would happen?
So the first thing you would notice is they're going to try to cough. So they're going to be retching, they may be drooling, they may be pawing at their mouth because they're going to want to try to get that out. So those are the things you're going to want to pay attention to. And if you don't hear anything, no breath coming in and nothing exhaling, that's when you need to really take action.
And you were saying also the most common thing is just treats, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be treats, yeah.
Because dogs like to inhale treats.
Yes. We've got our trachea here, so the throat.
So this would be up here normally.
Yes,
Yeah.
this would be up here normally. So there's a few things we can do first. You can grab the back legs and pull the larger dog forward onto their front.
Do you pat them or anything?
You can do back pats, but you need to make sure that your hand is cupped because their shoulder blades are really close together, ours aren't. Let's say we've done those back pats, we've held them upside down, we've given them a bit of a shake and nothing's giving, we need to go straight into those abdominal thrusts. You want to feel for where the ribs end at the bottom. So we want to feel where those last ribs are, right into the tuck of that back leg, and then we are going to place our hand just underneath those ribs, one fist in hand over, and you're going to make a J motion, and it needs to be quite forceful. So in and up. So we're going to get that dislodged now. So very quick one motion.
Wow. So I'm going to have a go. So a fist.
Fist.
Where the ribs end.
That's right.
At the bottom, and then a hand over the top of my fist, and I have to do a J. So it's like a sweeping motion, in and up.
In and up, yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got his treat out.
Yeah.
High five! Woo! Okay, so we've spoken about very, very small obstructions and how we can push them out. So what happens if you get a tennis ball or some similar sized toy lodged in the throat? Sometimes you can get it out, can't you? There was a viral video that's been going around on the internet showing somebody's dog having a very large toy pushed out of the throat by a vet. Let's take a look at that clip. So, Aubrey, naughty Pongo here.
Yes, naughty Pongo,
has just eaten this tennis ball, and tennis ball's lodged.
Yes.
How would we get that out?
So we're going to see at the bottom of the throat, you are going to see the bulge of the ball there. So if you just place that ball back there, and I'll show you, what you want to do is you want to get your thumbs behind the back of that ball, and you're going to need to push down slightly, and you are going to, almost like what we did with the other choking, you're going to do the letter J again, and you're going to push down, and you're going to push that out.
See, this is amazing. It could really save your dog's life, couldn't it? So we see videos online all the time of people's dogs falling into their swimming pools, and often they get there a little bit too late. But there are certain things that you can do, can't you, if your dog falls into water, and obviously they're not clinically dead. So this dog, I've just pulled him out of the water. What do we do? What's the first thing we do?
Yep, so we would immediately, we need to drain that water out of the lungs. So we need to tip that animal up. So with a larger dog, this is going to be a little bit difficult, but you may need to grasp them by their hind legs and tip them forward as high as you can so that you can allow that water to drain out of the lungs. If it's a smaller dog, you can just hold them upside down. You want to let all that water out so that we can go straight into our CPR procedure, because their heart may have stopped during that time. So if you are sensing and seeing that there is no breathing and there's no pulse, then you go straight from tipping that water out into that CPR.
One thing that is really scary is foods that can potentially kill your dog. Now, some of these foods here can harm them in various degrees, some a little bit, some a bit more, and some are absolutely fatal. So we've brought together what we consider to be some of the worst ones on the list, and we're going to sort of go through them. Out of all of these, what is screaming to you, this is absolutely horrific, this will kill your dog?
Goodness, where do we start? I would say personally the snack items that are most likely to be picked up around the kitchen. So at Easter, our hot cross buns, at Christmas, our mince pies, and they're all going to contain sultanas, grapes and raisins. So these are really tasty, that are usually just sitting on your coffee table, and they just come by and grab them.
Do you find dogs will eat a grape if one falls on the floor?
Yes.
Those can really, really hurt them then?
Yes, they are going to cause liver and kidney issues, and it can be quite progressive. One grape can cause some serious issues.
And these definitely, I can imagine if you're doing baking at home and you sprinkle some of these accidentally on the floor, these are potentially terrible.
So we've got our avocados, so you've got a big pit in the middle, and that can be a huge choking hazard. The skins are packed with toxins. Flesh is not as serious, but I would avoid all of it.
Avoid all avocados, okay.
Lemon and lime, so they have a lot of citric acid in it. It's another one dogs don't normally go for, but if they have eaten that, I would definitely ask your advice from a vet.
Onions, dogs don't generally eat onions, do they?
No, they don't generally. If a little bit falls off your burger, it's not the end of the world, but if you're going and they're crunching into about half an onion or so, you know, no. But again, another one that luckily dogs don't like.
Do you have to go to the vet if they eat a bit of this?
Yes.
Now we got a leek, which is something that people might not think about straight away.
Leeks are going to be in the same family and category as our onions.
Do you feed garlic to dogs, yes or no? Because there are some supplements on the market which actually say, oh, garlic is good for your dog in small quantities.
If you want to feed garlic, make sure it's fresh and it's raw, none of the tinned stuff. But this one actually is not as toxic as what everybody thinks. If you are going to incorporate garlic into a diet, talk to your vet or your nutritionist to find out the dosage.
So what is the really dangerous one in this?
Xylitol.
And this is usually in sugar-free products. Obviously, you drop it on the floor, your dog's going to put it in their mouth.
Yeah, and you might not even notice. With something as small as a piece of gum, it's gone and you have no idea what they've done.
So what does this do to your dog?
So it can cause things like seizures and tremors. It can cause heart murmurs. It can, a lot of stuff. And it's such a tiny amount. We're talking like a teeny tiny amount. So that one is no phone call, go straight away to the vet.
Wow. Another hot topic, isn't it? It's chocolate.
Oh yes. So chocolate is kind of on a sliding scale. So you've got white chocolate, which we all love, but it's not really chocolate. That one is the least concern. Milk chocolate, yes, it's of a concern, but not massive, depending on the size of the dog and consumption, of course. Once you start getting into dark chocolates and baking chocolates and the powders and stuff, that's where we start getting the real danger.
That's dangerous.
Absolutely.
Right. We got coffee or caffeine in general?
A little spilled coffee is no big deal, but if you've spilled a whole mug and they're lapping it up, it can cause tachycardia, so the heart can go a bit funny, and a few tremors, so absolutely keep that away from the pooches.
Okay, so Granny, stop giving your dog a cup of tea. It's not good. Okay, beer. Now, I'd love to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've had ex-boyfriends and husbands, and God knows one ex-husband actually, thank you very much, that think it's quite funny to give this to the dog, and they go, ha ha ha, they like it.
Any animal shouldn't be really consuming alcohol. You know, it will give them that drunkenness sensation, but as well, it's going to vomiting, diarrhea, and the list goes on.
I mean, it's far worse for an animal, isn't it, to have alcohol than a human?
Absolutely.
So they're not going to be just a bit tipsy like us.
No,
it could really hurt them.
There's some serious undertones on that one.
Cooked chicken. Now, it's not the chicken, it's the bones. You can give raw chicken bones, but you cannot give cooked chicken bones because they splinter, don't they?
Absolutely.
Chives. This goes with the onion family. Bread mix, which I picked up because the ingredient in particular is yeast.
Yes.
This could possibly happen if you're making bread at home, your kid's dropping it all over the floor. What happens to the dog if it ingests this?
So you're going to get a lot of gastrointestinal issues. You're going to get with the yeast is going to come expansion. So you're going to get that expansion in the stomach. You're going to have frothing at the mouth. You're going to have diarrhea. You're going to have vomiting, and it's going to be very bloaty and it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Macadamia nuts. Why these in particular versus other nuts?
So this one has a few worrying compounds within it that is going to cause a whole host of things like the tremors and the disorientation and the vomiting and the diarrhea. We give peanut butter to dogs all the time. You know, peanuts are absolutely fine, but it's macadamia nuts we really want to stay away from.
I would not know that.
No.
Absolutely. And also something interesting you were saying to me earlier, this sweetener sometimes is in peanut butter.
It can be.
People give peanut butter to their dogs all the time, and you wouldn't notice it's the extra ingredients, those salami type dried seasoned meats that you get from Italy. Very, very, very salty, aren't they? And very processed, full of all sorts of herbs and spices. So this one's got white wine, pepper and garlic added. I've just heard they're just really bad for dogs.
Definitely. So these are going to be what are going to cause things such as pancreatitis. So that one can then lead to liver failure if it's left untreated.
Right.
So even a small amount.
This is my sort of fatty section because Aubrey said no junky, gross, fatty foods.
Yeah.
We've just got like a really stodgy, crappy pizza here. That's not going to hurt them terribly, but if you're feeding them this every day, it's just bad because it's got salt.
It's got the salt, it's got the fat. You know, not only do we have to worry about it being toxic, but obesity amongst our pets is a really big issue.
Fried stuff.
Yes, very, very fatty.
Now we're going to move on to toxic substances around the house. Your dog gets into your cupboard under the sink and has a little bit of a raid. Pods can fall out really easily onto the floor, can't they? And they look like little round treats. He shouldn't eat it because it smells disgusting, but most dogs will just put something in their mouth, won't they, for the sake of it? I mean, that can kill your dog, right?
Absolutely.
Your dog's...
That is packed with chemicals,
Yeah.
so that is straight to the vet. And as well, if they swallow that whole, depending on the size, you could have an intestinal blockage as well.
I don't even want to think about that. I keep this right up high on a top shelf. Bleach, absolute killer.
Yeah.
People let dogs drink from the toilet, don't they? And if you've put bleach down the toilet,
Yeah, not a good combo.
not a good combo. Not just this, but other household cleaners. Now this is a horrible one. De-icer. And we use this time of year in particular. This will kill your dog. And horribly, when I was out in Romania and we were bringing back rescue dogs from Romania, it was a cheap way of killing strays. So that's how lethal this is. Now this, I don't even want to think about what that's going to do to the insides of your dogs. What's it going to like literally make them bleed from the inside? It's just this
liver failure, everything.
Do not get this near your dog. If it gets on your hands, wash your hands. Plants. Now this is something I'd really like to talk about, because in the summer, Cal the husky, I found him swaying. Honestly, it looked like he was high on some substance. And he was so sick, he was so ill and vomiting. And it turns out when I went into the garden, I've got quite a lot of toxic plants. And surprisingly, a lot of them, funny enough, come from Japan and Asia. So you've got to be quite careful with the Asian plants. And we've got things like hydrangeas, azaleas, lilies.
Yes.
I've got this Spanish lily, which I think might have actually caused the problem. There are household plants as well that we've really got to be careful around. Which ones in particular should we watch in the house?
I would say this time of year is poinsettias for Christmas. Again, typically they don't mess with them, but all it takes is a curious mind to start chewing on leaves and petals, and it's a vet visit.
You've got lilies?
Yes, lilies as well. And the lily, the main issue is the pollen of the lilies. And especially with cats, they will brush and they'll get the pollen on their fur.
Wow.
They then start cleaning and grooming themselves, and that's when they ingest that toxin.
Yeah.
So we have an emergency advice hotline in the UK, and this is really useful. So this is the animal poison line, and this is a 24-hour hotline that will have expert advice on the other end of the phone.
Now, it's always great advice to keep a first aid kit around the house, just in case of an emergency. Here's an example of the type of kit you can get online, with antiseptic, bandages, and other vital life-saving tools.
So how do people find out more about your website? So if they want to come on, do some reading about it, maybe take part in one of your courses?
Absolutely. So I have, my website is bluebellpetcare.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. So we've got all of our in-person classes. We travel across the UK, so you can partake in a class, or we also offer online classes if you can't make it to us directly. And yeah, we would love to help.
God, I implore everyone, go out and do this course. I mean, I've learned so much today. I think it's amazing.
You've done a great job.
I've got 4 dogs, and I just keep thinking to myself, what on earth would I do if one of them was in real trouble? And, you know, just having this knowledge is invaluable, especially the choking and the CPR. I think that's absolutely amazing. And if you enjoyed this amazing video, then please give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel by clicking the button in the bottom hand corner, and tune in every week where we'll be bringing you more amazing episodes on dogs, wolves, animal rescue and conservation. Bye for now.